Hello and welcome to lesson 1 for the Jazz Improv Training Academy. Thank you so much for subscribing. I'm really looking forward to doing all these lessons that I've been planning for you. So the first group of lessons, if you like, we will carry on focusing on autumn leaves. There's lots of great learning that we can get out of this tune, and there's going to be about 6 lessons. So we're moving on from the taster lesson, okay, one step further, where you learnt the chord changes for autumn leaves. So in this lesson, we are going to recap the chordal notes, and then we're going to learn to connect the chords in a musical way. First of all, using quarter beats or crotchets, and then we'll move on to quavers for the slightly more advanced. Okay, don't worry if you're not at that stage yet. There is a sort of a halfway meeting point between the full quaver runs and the crotchet or quarter beat runs too. Okay, so yeah, to learn the learning objective from the lesson plan, to learn how to connect the chord notes in a musical way. Now that can be really straight away a bit overwhelming. So in some of the exercises, and I'll highlight the ones as we go along, I've really targeted the third, okay, because to me it is the most melodic note, and it's something I like to do in my solos, and it's helped me tremendously, massively. This is one of the main things that has helped me over about the last 4 or 5 years, that has just opened up my ears and really just given me much more freedom in hearing more beautiful lines to play. Okay, obviously there's lots more to it, but we're gonna cover everything that I've learned over my 30 years. I'm gonna try and teach you guys. Okay, so activity 1 is playing through the chord notes, okay, so we're going to do them as quarter beats or crotchets for the chord changes to autumn leaves. Now this is just a recap of what you've done last week, but I want you to be really confident on all the chord notes. So I've written out an etude, so you can play through that. I'm just going to, that will be the next part of this video. You can have a listen and watch it go through, as of course, because I'm in B flat, that's that's the etude that I show on the screen. But if you're not a B flat instrument, you will have the sheet that suits you in the email that I sent you. Okay, you're going to listen to that, but what I would really urge you to do and like you to do is try and create your own improvisation. Just play in the chord notes. Okay, now I know I've done quarter beats, but you know, if you're not quite there yet, you could just do semibreves, or 4 beat notes. Just maybe go from the root to the root to the root to the root to the root, and then when you're really confident with that, then maybe go from the just target the thirds. As I said, I love the thirds myself, and that is still something I do, especially when learning a new tune. Again, we'll cover all that. Okay, and then maybe you could do minim notes, 2 beat notes. So do. Okay, the reason I've set up the Facebook group is I'd like you to, rather than just sort of dismiss it out of hand and think this isn't for me, I'd really love to hear any feedback you've got. So if it is too tricky, I can tweak it very easily, because I'm planning these lessons from week to week, and so on the results that you get and the feedback that I get from the Facebook group. So please comment. I'll give you plenty of opportunity. I'm going to aim to do a Facebook Live once a week as well. So, and I'll let you know in the Facebook group when that will be. Please join the Facebook group. I'll put the link on the lesson plan for you in case you haven't joined yet. Okay, and then I can make sure that you're all progressing. You're all getting better. You all feel like you're progressing, which is my aim. I want to really help you, to make you feel like, yes, this is working for me. I'm getting better. Now I am aware that lots of you are at different levels, and that's why. But I can do this in a way very easily to suit all the levels. Okay, so let me know if it's too tricky. And I can do an extra etude with to give you an idea. Okay, so that's what I like to do. So here we go. Activity 1. Have a listen and try and play through it with your instrument, and then create your own. Try and create your own, thinking about the chord changes, listening to the chord changes. Okay, so here we go with activity 1. Okay, so yeah, just really go over that again and again and again until you're feeling really confident, 100% confident with the changes. And that will help you internalize and get to know the changes. Okay, I especially recommend only playing the third as a 4-beat note, just to really get that in your ear. Okay, activity 2 is connecting the chords. Now, this is more in a linear way rather than being a bit random and improvising different chords. We are trying to go or connect the third to the third to the third. So, if you notice, every chord on the sheet music, the first beat, beat 1, is the third. And all I'm doing in a more of a linear way, okay, there's the odd chord as well, but I'm trying to do it in a more scalic way. Okay, so by doing that, it's going to help develop that that melody side. Okay, so you've got a mixture then of the chords, and we're starting to think about the scales. Okay, so I don't really like to use the word the scales because I've mentioned this to people that I've taught before. It's like if you look at Chet Baker transcriptions, there's I've recently transcribed Chet's recording of Chet Baker in Milan. Some fantastic tunes on that, some great solos that Chet plays. And actually, when you look at the transcription of him playing, especially a tune like Indian Summer, you look at that one, there's hardly any scales in it at all. There's fragments of scales, very fragments of scales, which I don't even think of as scales. That's what I think of as personally as approach notes, which again, that's something we'll cover, which I got from Hal Galpo, a fantastic jazz teacher and educator from America. Okay, so this one, third, and then you're just gonna connect it. Okay, so have a listen and work through it. Try to get that in your ear, that third. That's why it's very, very important. And then just try that yourself. Can you maybe go a different way? Can you go up, down, rather than up when I'm going up? So try to create your own. See if you can do it at first without a backing track, as always, okay? And just try the first 4 bars, okay? Because the first 4 bars happens quite a few times in this piece, and then the second 4 bars, or bars 5, 6, 7, 8, also happens. I mean, this whole tune is either the first 4 bars or the second 4 bars. I think I know there's a part at the end with a small turnaround, but that's basically the nuts and bolts of Autumn Leaves. Okay, so yeah, here we go with activity number 2. Have a go through it and play along with it if you feel like, practice on your own. And then, but like I say, most importantly, see if you can just go from third to third to third to third. Okay, let's have a listen. Okay, so in activity 3, we are connecting the third, which again, first beat of the bar, and we're using eighth notes or quavers. Okay, so connect the third, first beat of the bar to any chord note on beat 3. Okay, so you're always going to be in the same chord. So you're always going to start on the third, and depending whether you go up or down, you are going to connect it in some type of either a chordal way or a scalic way. Okay, you can also try this as an extension activity for those who pick this up very quickly. Try it starting on the tonic, the first of each chord. You could try it starting on the fifth. You could try it on the sixth or the seventh, or you could try it even on the ninth. Okay, so which is, you know, like the second, but we call it the ninth. Okay, but for now, if we're all happy with doing the third, it will be just stay with the third. Do ba do ba do ba ba do ba do. Again, really helping us to internalize the changes. Okay, now I know I've been going on about the third or mentioning the third a lot, but if you think of actually the tune like All the Things You Are or Autumn Leaves, all the most beautiful tunes, all the ones with the thirds that are prominent in the melody. And so, you know, my ear is always drawn to the melody, and part of the description to get you guys to come and do these lessons is to help you play melodic solos, and this will make your solos sound so much more melodic if you can start targeting the third. Now, when I am soloing, I'm not always thinking third, 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 but it is a way I practice that my solos do sound more melodic because I do that, but I'm not consciously thinking got to play the third every time. Okay, this is just a means to an end, just a way of practicing to make us progress. Okay, and this has helped me massively. Honestly, I'm not just saying it, it's really helped me a lot to, if I, you know, to by connecting the thirds. Yeah, I don't know, 70% of the time your solo, you'll be more happy and satisfied with the solo you played. Okay, so let's have a listen to and watch activity number 3. So just boo ba doo ba da, boo ba doo da da, doo ba doo da da, doo ba doo ba da. Okay, here we go. Okay, we've come to the final part of this lesson where we are going to do an exercise which is called running the scale, where we just try to stay within the key center. So obviously for the top line we are just in C major, and for the second line we are in A minor. Now I'm aware that I'm talking B flat pitch there, so let me just say that again. So for the first line we're in concert B flat major for the first 4 bars, and for the bars 5, 6, 7 and 8 we are in the key center, if you like, of G minor. Okay, so if you want to do the workings out from there. Okay, so we're going to talk about key centers. We're going to talk about 2-5-1s. I'm sure a lot of you have already had some lessons or taken some courses or read some books, worked out some books. We can already see we've got a major 2-5-1 and a minor 2-5-1, but that we've got plenty and plenty of time, so I can't teach everything in one lesson. But this way is just to get us moving forward, understanding the importance of internalizing the chords. So no matter what you do on top of that, internalizing the chords is very, very important. It's no mistake that Bill Evans recorded so many of the tunes over and over and over again throughout his career, because he just used them as templates for just amazing solos. And in my personal experience, and I'm sure you would know, for those of you that have experience of improvising, when you are much more confident with a chord sequence and you know where it goes, you know the key centers, you know the little turnarounds, you're going to be much happier improvising over that, rather than concentrating on something that essentially will take you away from where you want to be going with your solo. If you're thinking too much, all of this practice, we're practicing, obviously we're thinking, we're concentrating. I'm only trying to give you one thing really to think about with each exercise, because it's impossible, I think, to make excellent or outstanding progress if you're trying to think of 2, 3, 4, 5 things at the same time. So each activity has one objective, okay? Now that's up to you how long you want to spend on each activity to really, really absolutely nail it. And okay, but then if you do, it's going to help you springboard when we do other activities too. It's really, really going to open up your ears, okay? So activity 4 is running the scale, okay? Not necessarily starting on the third, but always on a chord note. And so you might notice that now and again I miss out a note. So, I might do what's called a slight include, do ba do be da, okay, just to sort of miss out a note to get us on the next chord note. You'll see what I mean when you see it in the video, but in fact I'll put it up on screen now. Okay, so you can see what I've just been talking about there, okay? And that just gets us on the chord note. So we are connecting the chord notes using quavers or eighth notes, an exercise called running the scale. But here we have given ourselves an objective of always playing a chord note on beats 1 and beats 3 too. So we're always what's called playing the changes. Now, when you listen to Clifford Brown, listen to Blue Mitchell, when you listen to Chet Baker, Cannibal Adderley, Charlie Parker, the reason, if you took away the rhythm section, you could still tell what the tune is they're playing, because they're absolutely nailing the changes, okay? And I know we're only just playing the chordal notes, but we're developing that skill already, and then everything else can come on top of that, all the rhythms that we can use, the motifs we can use, the 2-5-1s we can use, okay? So you're here already with this exercise, just running the scale. If you're playing the right scale at the right time, you're playing the chordal notes, you'll hear how melodic already this can sound, okay? Part of the problem, I think, when I've seen videos or lessons where they're saying about practicing the scales, you're talking about key center, but if you're just playing a scale, but actually on the strong beats, you're on the wrong note of the scale, it doesn't sound as effective as the way that I'm showing you now. Okay, so let's have a listen to that and try and practice this at home too. Okay, so that concludes the lesson. This lesson, number 1, connecting the chords and internalizing the changes. Okay, how to make great progress in the lesson. Number 1, don't try to run before you can walk. So with all of these exercises, what I suggest you try and do is play them through nice and slowly, just to get them under your fingers, and without the backing track, nice and slow, before you try and get frustrated with the backing track. Okay, whilst making mistakes is an everyday part of life, if you continue to make the same mistakes in music, you get really good at making those mistakes. So for tricky passages, if you are finding tricky passages, make sure you slow right down and practice very focused without any backing tracks, as I've just said. Okay, so remember, as we use Autumn Leaves more and more over the next few lessons, you will hopefully, the more you practice it, the more the changes you'll be internalizing them, especially just going up and down the changes. That is going to help you massively. Okay, and it's going to free up your mind. You're not going to need to think as much, and it enables us to start to hear. Okay, so we've got your left brain, your right brain, your logical side, your creative side. So we want to shut down the logical side, not when we're practicing. That's when we want that. Okay, but it's also important to then shut that down and open up the creative side and just try to hear, just play what you hear, as Miles Davis used to say. Okay, if you can, try to also play the exercises when improvising without the music. It is here you want to try and not think but listen. That's the whole ethos of everything I'll be trying to teach you, and it's something I'm still working on myself. Okay, I'm always trying to just quieten that down. I remember a very, very good sax player, one of the top sax players in Great Britain, actually said to me, he said, when you're soloing, he said, you should just pick a point on the ceiling, stare at it, and not think about anything, and it just stops your mind wandering. It stops you being distracted. Just fix a point and stare, and then just open up your ears. But of course, that comes with experience. Don't expect that to happen straight away. And again, this is one thing I am not promising you, that join my membership and you will be playing amazing jazz in 2 weeks, because that would be amazing. I would be amazed if that could happen. Okay, and now any jazz musician will tell you it is an evolving process. Even guys that have been playing, the great Bobby Shue, an amazing jazz trumpet player from America. He's done everything. He's a fantastic, melodic, beautiful player. He still considers himself a student of jazz, still trying to get better, still practicing. Okay, and he's been doing it, 60 years, 60, 70, 65 years. He's been at it a long time and still sounding great. Okay, so as I said, if you are frustrated by the lesson, please don't just, not, I don't want to say give up, but be so frustrated and angry. Okay, I'd really like to, you can either email me, but I would really love it if you could put any comments on the Facebook page. Okay, try to be kind, try to keep them positive. It's great for me, because I'm really hoping that this will build into a really good community of like-minded musicians all wanting the same thing, to develop their jazz skills, to hear melodic solos, and if we can do it in a really nice, encouraging, positive environment, that would be great. So if there is anything that you're frustrated with, that I've not been clear about, and you do miss the Facebook Live, just drop it into a comment on the Facebook group that you've all been invited to. Okay, so as I say, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson, and I'm looking forward to doing the Facebook Live and hopefully seeing some positive comments. Like I say, if there is any frustrations with you, just let me know. I can easily tweak these lessons to make them more tricky or less tricky. Okay, if you think that is tricky, I'm aiming at intermediate standard. This might be slightly too high, it might be slightly too low, I don't know, so that's why it would be great to have your feedback. If you help me, I can help you. Okay, bye for now, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks again.